Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and what I have for you today is my review of the LG soundbar. This is the LG SQ70TY. It is a 3.1.1 soundbar, which means it has 3 drivers in the front, 1 driver firing up top for Dolby Atmos effects, and 1 wireless subwoofer. And how it actually performs is something we will talk about in the performance section, but I actually want to run through a few very interesting factors about this soundbar. So let's first start with the build and design. Now, the design of the soundbar is fairly simple. It is rectangular. It'll fit flush below a 50, 55 and even a 65 inch TV, and it's quite minimalistic. It has a rectangular design, a grill mesh in the front. The top firing driver is slightly angular, firing upwards towards your seating position, and I think that's good because it's going to try to bounce the sound off to you. How Dolby Atmos sounds is something we will talk about more in the performance section, but the design is fairly simple and it's just going to blend into your home entertainment setup. The connectivity options are very neatly laid out. At the back you have an HDMI port for eARC, you have an HDMI pass-through port and an optical port. It also has Bluetooth connectivity option as well. So it is fairly simple looking soundbar, but the one thing which I think is really cool, and the brackets for this come in the box with the soundbar, is that it has this really nice bracket which fits at the back of some select LG QNED TVs. So if you want to wall mount the TV and then mount the soundbar right below the TV so that it fits flush, it's just going to blend in and look seamless and look really, really good. So from a design standpoint, the soundbar is fine. The subwoofer looks really small. It's just going to fit into a corner really easily. Again, simple rectangular design, nothing to write home about. Has a simple green LED in front to show that it's connected to the soundbar, but it definitely packs in a punch. Again, something we're going to talk about more in the performance section. The HDMI pass-through port is really interesting. For the price point of about 22,000 rupees where this soundbar is priced, you are getting the pass-through port which supports 4K, Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, but only at 60 Hz, so no 120 Hz. So you'd rather connect a streaming device to the soundbar directly if that's something you're into. Actually, I have some very interesting findings with my Apple TV box connected to the TV and to the soundbar, something we will talk a little bit more in the performance section. Now, once you connect the soundbar to your TV via HDMI ARC or eARC, it's actually very simple to use the remote control that comes with the soundbar to control it. You generally don't need the app, and the app feels more like very basic functionality at this point, right? I mean, especially when you compare it to what Sony and maybe a Sonos or a Samsung are offering. Yeah, you do get granular controls for bass and treble and other settings, but it's nothing that, I mean, the basic stuff you do get through the remote control, and I found the remote control to be a little more handy. For one reason is, when you set up the soundbar, it's as simple as connecting it via the Bluetooth of your phone and then opening the app. I'm just going to show you the UI of the app a little bit while I talk about it. It gives you access to the soundbar whether it's on or not. You can choose the input option from this really nice row out there. You also have the option to connect satellite rear speakers to the soundbar, making it fairly modular if that is something that you want to do, right? If you want to have a more wholesome 5.1 sort of an experience, you can invest in the surround speakers later on and you can connect them to the soundbar using the app. And like I said, you get a few more granular controls. But my problem with the app is that every time I wanted to control any feature of the soundbar via the app, I actually had to go reconnect the soundbar with my smartphone using Bluetooth and then go into the app settings. So it wasn't like a seamless connection, like I opened the app and if I'm on the same Wi-Fi, for example, which wasn't a case with the soundbar, right? It's not going to ask you for the Wi-Fi details because it's not an internet enabled soundbar like some of the others that we've tested. So you actually have to go and manually connect it via Bluetooth, again from the Bluetooth settings of your smartphone, before you can access the features on the app. It's a small nitpick, but probably my only nitpick with this soundbar, especially when it comes to the features. Otherwise, I think the app gives you fairly decent controls if you're someone that wants to tinker around more. Else you can choose from simple sound modes. Now, the soundbar doesn't have a display. There's no display telling you the volume or the input source or whatever. You just have these LEDs that change colors, and thankfully, you don't need to know what is the current input source or what is it just by understanding the LEDs, because whatever button you press on the remote control of the soundbar, it is going to announce it. So if you press this little information button out here, it's going to tell you whether it's playing Dolby Atmos content or Dolby Digital or linear PCM, whatever it is. If you are going to press the input button, it's going to announce the input, and the input announcement is not exactly bad or annoying. It's just simple enough to let you know what the source is. Even when you press Bluetooth, or if you press this little music icon out here which actually changes the sources, you can go into the settings. It's very easy to use because the speaker is announcing it. I would have preferred a display if you're connecting it via ARC. You could probably have a simple UI on the HDMI connectivity port, but I mean, it's okay. It gets the job done. At this price point, I'm not going to complain because the features are actually pretty good, easy to use and control, but you will have to keep this remote a little handy if you are going to, want to tinker more with the soundbar. Now, there's just one thing I want to highlight about the Apple TV box before we get into the performance. I had the Apple TV box connected to the TV, and the TV is connected to the soundbar via the HDMI eARC, and every time I played any Dolby Atmos content on the Apple TV box, it was only transmitting as linear PCM to the soundbar, and it wasn't giving me proper Dolby Atmos. This is the same problem I faced with the Sony Bravia Theater System 6, which I have reviewed on this channel. You guys can go and check that out. Unfortunately, the Sony system didn't have an HDMI input, but this soundbar does. So what I did was I removed the HDMI cable from my TV and put it into the input of the soundbar, and lo and behold, all Dolby Atmos content was being recognized, decoded, and being played back in Dolby Atmos. And I could make this out from simple things like the channel separation and the way the dialogues were represented, because what I feel is that it was giving me either Dolby Digital or Dolby Digital 5.1 content if I was connecting it to the TV, the Apple TV box to the TV, and then the soundbar to the TV. But when I connected the Apple TV box, I could make out the differences. So keeping that logic in mind that I connected the Apple TV box to the soundbar, let me tell you about the performance of this soundbar. Put simply, it's absolutely fantastic. It's got a killer kicker bass, and my only gripe is that the two modes which I think are the best are the standard and the movie mode or the cinema mode. So you can leave it in these two based on the type of content you're consuming. So if you're consuming, let's say, movies, and you know that they're in Dolby Atmos, or you could just simply press the information button out here. And if it is in Dolby Atmos, then you can actually use the cinema preset, because that gives you just a really wide range. Sure, the single upward firing driver is not going to give you pure Dolby Atmos. I mean, it's going to try to make the sound come from kind of, in front of you in this area, but the channel separation is really good, The race at the 11-minute mark in Ready Player One is a great sequence to check Dolby Atmos content, and the way the cars are moving from left to right and the coins are flying all over the place, you get beautiful channel separation. You get a very strong bass when, the dinosaur is coming, or when, cars are crashing into each other. The bass out here is absolutely punchy, and when the two protagonists are talking to each other, you can make out the dialogues very clearly in the cinema preset as well as the standard. I feel that the dynamic range and the channel separation is a little reduced in the standard preset, but in the cinema preset, it's really nice and wide. There are other presets like game, AI, sports. I didn't find them to add too much value, so I kept most of my content consumption between the standard and the cinema preset, right? Even a movie like Top Gun Maverick, you have the finale at the end, which is this great dogfight sequence with the planes flying from left to right, missiles, and the characters talking to each other. This was yet another sequence that had absolutely sublime sound. It was just one of the most immersive experiences to increase the quality of audio from my TV when I had the soundbar connected. It got the job done really well. Great dialogues, great bass, immersive cinematic sound. And yeah, I don't have the optional rear speakers, but if you get the optional rear speakers, I'm sure you're going to get a very good surround experience as well. This soundbar is punching slightly above its weight, especially where the features and the price point are concerned. That's how good it is. And let me just give you a quick demo of some copyright-free music and games that I captured. for the audio performance from this soundbar. Okay, now that you've gotten a demo of the audio, let me talk about gaming, which is something that I really enjoy doing. And the best game I enjoyed on this TV was Doom the Dark Ages, because that metal soundtrack with the deep bass and the shotgun just sounded very sublime. I mean, it was one of the most immersive experiences. Even in Gears 5, right? I play the sequence where you come from the small conversation in this dark room into this fighting arena, and the details in the dialogues, the details in the conversations, and especially when the guns kick in, the channel separation between, you know, all the firing that's happening all around you was very immersive. And I kept everything in the standard preset because I found that to give me the best audio output. Even a game like Ori and the Will of the Wisps, right? All these three games I played on the Xbox Series X, which supports Dolby Atmos. So I got very good channel separation, deep sound. Like Ori has this really nice orchestral soundtrack, which has this really emotional punch to it, and you really feel it with the sound, with the soundbar. And mind you, for everything that I consumed on the soundbar, I didn't put the volume above 25%, maximum 27%, and it filled this entire room with sound. That's how loud it gets. And the fun thing is that as you increase the volume, there are 4 LEDs on the front. So they go from green 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they go yellow, and then they go red to signify that you're making some really loud noise. I tried to play this speaker, this soundbar at 75% volume, and I couldn't. Not for the lack of any clarity, but it just got so loud. So at 25-30% volume for this room, it was absolutely perfect with room-filling detailed sound. And I don't say this a lot about soundbars, but the night mode in this soundbar particularly was very good, because I was watching a movie and playing a couple of games, and the night mode just worked really well. I could make out all the details, I could make out all the explosions, all the whispers and conversations, be it in movies or games. And the night mode just reduces that dynamic range but maintains the quality that you want to be able to make out all the details in the night. So I think that's great. Now moving over to the PlayStation side of things, a game like Spider-Man, right? It's got the wind rustling when you're swinging around. It's got great conversations and actions. It's got a nice thud to, you know, when you're in a fight, and all of that was very well represented on the soundbar. Even in a game like Gran Turismo, right? You have the car with this really punchy, nice soundtrack for this sequence that I usually use, and the engine of the car. You have this really nice bass coming in. Even Ratchet and Clank, right? Every gun has this unique signature sound, and it was just truly enjoyable on this soundbar. So, I mean, if it's so great for about 20 to 22,000 rupees, the soundbar, what's my con? Well, there are only two cons. Like I said, if you need to use the app controls, you need to go back and select Bluetooth, connect it again if it's already paired, and then go into the app and tinker with the settings. So the process for the app feels slightly longer than it should. And second, and this is not generally a gripe, because this isn't a proper full Dolby Atmos sound. I mean, you aren't going to feel the rain falling from above your head. And if you want that experience, you're going to have to spend upwards of 70 to 80,000 rupees for the likes of the Sonos Arc Ultra, something I have reviewed on this channel, or the Sony Bravia Theater Bar 9, again I've reviewed that on this channel, or my personal favorite, which I haven't yet reviewed, is the Samsung Q990F. I have experienced the 2025 model, and I can tell you that sounds sublime, but those are all priced 70, 80,000 rupees and above. For 20 to 25,000 rupees, you're kind of limited with options. Now, if you absolutely want Dolby Atmos decoding, and I think you should get it, because the downsampling for the channel separation on this soundbar is very good. But if you're not finicky about Dolby Atmos and you want a good surround experience, and you don't mind a traditional 5.1 output with a good surround experience, you can check out the Sony HT-S40R. That's also priced at about 25,000 rupees. But if you can extend your budget to, let's say, about 32 to 35,000 rupees, you can get the surround speakers that come for this particular LG soundbar. I'm going to tell you the model. It is the LG SPT8-S. They are 100 watts. There are 2 channels, left and right. They connect to each other via a simple cable, and the left speaker goes into the power. So you really don't have to do much cable management as well. I would say keep the speakers at ear height, about an arm's distance away, slightly behind, so you get a good surround experience if you can increase your budget a little bit. So yeah, for about 20 to 23,000 rupees, if you have a budget for a soundbar, you can definitely consider this LG. It packs in quite the punch where it matters, and it's made the right compromises, which aren't actually compromises. They're just features that they've kind of not paid attention to, because at this price point, I feel the sound quality output is absolutely fantastic. So there you have it, guys. That was my review of the LG SQ70TY. As always, you can let me know what you thought of this review in the comment section below. And for more from the world of home entertainment and gaming, you can subscribe to the channel. This is me, Samir, signing off. I will catch you in another video. It's goodbye for now.